Welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who once caddied for Ben Hogan, my dad, Tim.
I didn't. The fact that he could even walk after that horrific accident he was in,
What happened to him?
he was hit head on by a bus.
Ben Hogan was?
Yes.
When?
Back in the early 1950s. Didn't think he'd even survive, yet alone walk. He won the U.S. Open after that. He had to sit in ice baths every night
Really?
just so he could play the next day. I mean, we talk about when Tiger won on a broken leg.
Yeah.
What Hogan did was Tiger times 10.
Well, and at the time where medical
Correct.
advancements were not really there, polio, well, I think the polio vaccine had been made at that point. but-
I think it was, but they told his wife that, look, we have to do this surgery for him to even survive, but he'll probably never walk again.
That's crazy.
He was so driven by his love of golf that he found a way to do it.
We got to have a passion for something. I also have a passion for golf, but the biggest passion I have for golf is what we get to do this Saturday. You and I are going to be playing at the Bowl in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, which I have seen the flyovers.
I have too.
I am regretting this decision immensely because
I-
we keep score. For those of you that have watched the show for a while, know our Father Day tradition. We only keep score once a year.
Mhm.
And last year, for the first time ever, I broke 90. Okay, I hit 90.
But you did it.
But I got to 90. The year before, I hit 110. And then this past year, I hit 90. I'm getting better.
In all fairness, I didn't keep score because I played 2 years ago. I think I played 4 holes.
Right.
Last year, I made it through 9, but it was still not this will be my first 18 where I'm actually looking forward to playing
Yeah.
in several years.
Yeah, because you did not make it the entire round last year. But you were fresh off a hip surgery.
Right.
We're back in. We're going to try it this year. I think you're
Can't
going to
wait.
make it this year.
I'll make it, but I'm taking an extra dozen balls
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
this course looks amazing and they're fun
gonna
to
be a fun
play.
time.
I mean, I've told you before, the best score I ever got was an 89 on the river course at Black Wolf Run up in Kohler, playing from the blues. Now that was when I was, the best version of my golf.
Right.
Had a great round. It was right after the Women's U.S. Open. The greens were still fast.
That's awesome.
Putting was fun for me because I just got it to roll and then away it went. So, but that was the best I ever played.
I'm hoping to have this at the Bowl. I don't think it's going to happen.
Just relax and have fun. Enjoy it.
And that's the trick. I mean, you and I don't keep score for that very reason.
Right.
Because who cares if you miss a putt? It's to hit the ball a long way and then choke your drives like I always do. Keeping score adds a different layer of pressure, but it's good to see kind of, hey, where am I?
I think
on this golf journey?
some people take golf way too seriously. Go and have fun. Count the number of great shots you hit. Forget
Yeah.
the ones you didn't. But you can't do that at the U.S. Open that's being played this weekend at Oakmont. That thing looks like the hardest course I've ever seen in my life.
Well, what is it, like 6-inch rough?
6-inch rough, 28-yard wide on average fairways, which is not much. And greens they've got a thing called a stimp meter where you literally put a ball on a little piece of wood, you lift it up, and then you see how far it rolls. It's stimping out at 15, which is lightning. It's as fast as that meter will go.
Wow.
These guys, I love Nicholas's attitude towards it because he refused to look at anything bad. He's excited for the challenge. Everybody else is complaining. Okay, they're done. They're done. It's going to be fun to watch, but they will identify the best player, and I don't think there'll be many, if any, under par.
I mean, Scotty Scheffler's got to be the favorite for this thing. DeChambeau is definitely going to be in the running. Rory McIlroy, it was
Okay.
reported, hit an 81 practice round at Oakmont this week.
He hasn't playing well, and he admitted after the Masters, he took a deep breath and wasn't into it for a while.
Yeah.
It was like he achieved everything. But now, you better hit it straight on this course.
If not, you're going to be in trouble.
It's going to be hard to find. I was watching the Golf Channel, and at one point, they showed from the side where you could see the ball, but when you look straight down, couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You know
just
what, though?
fact.
I have to give you a compliment in your golf game. You are the best player out of the rough I have ever seen. Because you always tee it up on the top of the
Whatever I
grass
can do,
once you
yeah.
hit it.
Like I said, I've learned to play golf just so I could play in scrambles. You get to
Right.
fix your lie in scrambles. I am not a competitive golfer. If I was, I wouldn't fix the lies. I don't care that much. I just like to go and have fun.
You know, I had to play the ball off of Frankenstein's foot earlier in this match in honor of Happy Gilmore
Yes.
2 coming out. On to football here.
Oh, dude. Okay.
And on to a man I enjoy so much.
Yeah, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game.
And apparently married now to a girl named Brittany.
With an eye.
With an I. Which is a weird way to spell Brittany, by the way.
I wouldn't know. But yeah, he is so talented. He's almost a savant. He's so talented. He can make throws nobody else can. But then there's this other side of him that when he's in the real world,
Olivia Munn broke
he
him.
has trouble.
Yeah, it all started after he broke up with Danica Patrick. Started dating Olivia Munn. All of a sudden, things started to get a little weird.
Because Danica Patrick, from what I've heard, normal girl, very nice, very sweet. And
From Beloit, Wisconsin, which really doesn't count as Wisconsin.
no, it's more Illinois. But part of Cheap Trick came from there, so I count them.
There you go.
But Aaron Rodgers kind of, that whole thing there, he broke her heart and it was ugly.
He's a weird dude. I mean, I hope he goes and plays really well in Pittsburgh. But, man, there's a lot of stuff coming out right now about Aaron Rodgers. All of a sudden, he's talking to the Rams.
He called the Rams. He wanted to play there. McVay was like, no thanks. We got Stafford. We're set. We're good. He called the Vikings, which you and I have talked about. Thought it'd be a perfect landing place.
Because apparently they're not sold on J.J. McCarthy. They're
Yeah.
really questioning their draft choice right now.
Yes, they don't.
And you have Aaron Rodgers, who fits that offense so well.
But because of what comes with Aaron Rodgers,
That's what it is.
they went with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. And the Steelers didn't give themselves a choice.
No, because you're not going to go with Mason Rudolph.
Not going to happen.
So you've got Aaron Rodgers there. And
They could go with Will Howard, who is going to be their starting quarterback next year.
if they don't have anybody else and they have to go to the very bottom of the barrel, you're right.
Why are you so harsh
Because
on Will Howard?
He's an Ohio State quarterback. He's going to be like every other one other than C.J. Stroud. And he'll wipe out. So, but Rodgers gets there. I mean, he and Tomlin have always had a good relationship.
Justin Fields is starting in New York, by the way.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Joe Burrow is LSU, not Ohio State.
Did he put on an Ohio State uniform?
They made him take it off. It doesn't count. Anyways, getting back to this. Apparently, Rodgers has had a great relationship with not only Tomlin, but the people at
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
sure.
Great ownership group. He showed up to minicamp. He's
did
addressed
show up
the
to
team.
minicamp.
He's addressed the team, said, hey, I'm all in.
Well, and good for him this time around for not signing ahead of time. He's like, listen, I'm doing my own thing. I'm not going to sign with the team until I'm ready to be there.
I'm
When
not.
I'm an employee and you're paying me, that is when I will be there. And I don't blame him for that at all.
No, and I think what he said was, look, I'm not going to be unfair to you. When I'm ready to come in, let's sign it and we'll move
Right.
forward. That gave him an opportunity to look for somebody else. There wasn't anybody.
There's Will Howard.
There wasn't anybody. And so they're ready and they're going now forward with Aaron Rodgers. What do you think the record's going to be this year? Realistically?
I haven't looked at their schedule, honestly. I really haven't.
Okay. If you had to guess, just a normal, they're going to be a second, third place
The
schedule.
problem is they're in an AFC North division that's extremely hard right now.
Well, we're going
And
to
then
talk
you
about
have to play the NFC North teams, which is an extremely hard division right
Mhm.
now. So I got to assume they have one of the harder schedules. I mean, I think they'll be a 10-7 team at 17 weeks.
I was going to say 9-8, so right in that same area. I don't think Rodgers goes the full season. I think he misses a couple games at least.
He could. I don't know how much he got left in the tank. Obviously, he signed for $10 million, which is very low for him, and sent in later, and that'll get him up to $20 million. We'll see. He and Arthur Smith are an interesting mix.
If
You got DK Metcalf, who I'm not sold on as a receiver. I mean, he's a great receiver, don't get me wrong, but
Freelances more than Rodgers wants.
he freelances a lot.
Yeah.
And that's going to be rough for Rodgers to get used to. That was the issue he had in Green Bay with those receivers. That's the issue he had with Garrett Wilson, is there's some freelancing going on. And he just didn't get him the ball.
Look, he looked good at the end of last year.
He did.
See if that, and he's another year removed from the surgery.
Yep.
So I think he's got full mobility back.
Listen, a bad year for Rodgers is a career year for most other quarterbacks.
Very true. I think he gets them to the playoffs. I honestly do.
I am disappointed, though.
Why?
Because he was supposed to wear number 4. And he is wearing
He was
number
never
8.
going to wear
That
4.
is Tommy Maddox's number. How dare you wear Tommy Maddox's number in Pittsburgh?
Touchdown Tommy Maddox was there for what, like 1-2 seasons?
He had one really great year. I don't know why I remember Tommy Maddox. I don't know why I remember he wore 8, but he definitely did, and that's his number, and how dare he?
Okay, well, let's talk about another team in that division because there's drama going on in the quarterback room probably 200 miles away in Cleveland. You got 4 quarterbacks, and not to mention Deshaun Watson, but he's not there. You've got Flacco. You've got Kenny Pickett.
For now.
You've got Shadur Sanders.
Yep.
You've got Dylan Gabriel, who looks like a toddler. I mean, he's a tiny dude.
He's shorter than me.
Yeah.
He's 5'11".
He's very short and very thin. So you've got those 4 guys competing to be the starter and the backup. 2 of them aren't going to be there. I've heard different shows talking about who's going to be there. I think it's Flacco's to lose.
Flacco's a starting
He's
quarterback.
a starting quarterback unless something
He's going to
completely
start
falls
the
apart.
season. He's 41. He's not going to last the entire season, but he is your bridge gap quarterback for the first 6 games.
I don't think Kenny Pickett is going to be. I mean, that's who he's competing with. I don't think Pickett wins the job for reasons we've detailed.
I don't know
several
if Kenny
times.
Pickett makes out of training camp, honestly.
I don't think
Are you
Dylan.
going to carry 5 quarterbacks?
No, you're not going to carry 4. You're forced with Watson. But out of
So
those,
who gets cut?
I'm asking you, of those 4, who do you keep?
I think they're keeping Watson for now. I think they're keeping Flacco. He's your starter.
Watson's there whether they want him to or not. He's not even
For
going to
this
show
year.
up. He's not even going to show up.
Not for the first
He's not showing up.
few games.
No.
I think you're keeping 4. I think you're keeping Watson. I think you're keeping Flacco. You're keeping Shador, and you're keeping Dylan Gabriel. You're keeping all 4 of those. Kenny Pickett's going to be cut.
I don't think they're keeping that many. I think Watson, I'm not even counting because he's not in the building. You're going to keep Flacco. He's your starter. And Joe's had some great years. And will be a good mentor to these other guys.
He will be.
I think Kenny Pickett thinks he's competing, but I don't think in the end he's going to be there. Shadur Sanders is your backup, and they'll release Gabriel and Pickett.
You think so?
They can put Gabriel on the practice squad, I guess, but he's the number 1. He's your first quarterback draft pick this year.
3rd round pick. You're not cutting a 3rd round pick.
Then he's going to put him on his practice squad because I think Sanders is going to play out lights out this spring or this summer.
He's not getting a lot of reps. I think they're protecting him quite a bit. I don't know if they're sold on him. If one of the 2 quarterbacks, and I'm being dead serious, if one of the 2 quarterbacks they drafted doesn't make the team, it's Shador Sanders.
See, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Oh, that's why I don't either. I think they're going to keep them both.
I think he's the most talented of any quarterback they have in
I
the
agree.
building right now.
1st round talent.
Yeah.
Should be getting a chance to start. He won't. It's Flacco's team.
Well, it's Flacco's team, but I don't think that's a bad thing for Shadur Sanders.
I don't think so either.
He'll learn a lot.
But I'm saying if one of those 2, you're not cutting a 3rd round draft pick to put on the practice squad. You're just not doing it.
You might trade him.
You could trade him.
Somebody gets hurt in over camp.
I just don't understand picking a guy that's 5'11" in the 3rd round.
I don't either.
Watch. Gabriel could come out and be the starter of this team. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. I mean, how tall was Russell Wilson?
He's in that area, but there was a difference. Russell Wilson was a big dude. He was physically looked bigger than
He was, but how many quarterbacks are we seeing that aren't that big right now?
Well, Dylan Gabriel is the smallest quarterback I think I have ever seen.
Who's the kid in Kyler Murray in Arizona is smaller?
He's bigger than Dylan Gabriel. I mean,
No, he's not.
When I saw him next to Sanders and Pickett and Flacco,
Yeah, Russell Wilson's 5'11".
yeah, but he looks physically, he's bigger. He's more muscular.
Hold on. Dylan Gabriel height 5'11". I was right.
Yeah.
So they're the same size. Yes, Russell Wilson's beefier.
He's beefier. That's what I'm talking about. It's not the height so much. It's just the fact that how many hits is Gabriel going to be able to take at that size?
Kyler Murray's 5'10". Kyler Murray's shorter.
Shorter, but bigger. I mean, they've had running backs in this league that have been 5'7", but they've been 225 pounds or cannonballs.
Right. Maurice Jones-Drew, I think, was about 5'7", and he could just sneak under the offensive lineman and was fast enough to break through. He and Fred Taylor back in the day in Jacksonville were awesome. Made me a Jags fan.
Which is
And then they did that random helmet thing.
Yeah.
I got to cheer for the Jags a little bit. I mean, I went to college in Jacksonville.
You did.
I went to college literally 2 miles from the stadium. We used to walk over the bridge to go to games and just sit in the parking lot until we convinced the security guard to let us in.
Because
there's there's nobody there.
Go ahead.
We go in and buy a hot dog. You're making more money than us sitting out in the parking lot.
And they said, yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
And it's not in a great area. I'm like, do you really want 4 or 5 young kids sitting out in the parking lot in not a great area? Do you think that's a good idea? And the guy was awesome. He was like, you're really pushing it here, aren't you? So you're going to let us in? Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
Top levels. I was like, all right, you got it. No worries at all.
And they were cool down there. I mean, scalping is legal in Florida. I used to go to Lightning games all the time and wait until...
Is scalping... Okay. Not on the show sheet. Can you even scalp anymore?
In Florida, you can.
How, though?
30 minutes before first puck drops in Tampa, there are guys selling tickets right outside the stadium.
They don't give away tickets anymore.
They didn't give away tickets then. I bought them, but I could buy them for $60 for center ice.
I know, but how does that work? Like, I remember scalping tickets. We go to Brewers games, and you bought tickets from a scalper, which then I learned later not legal in the state of Wisconsin.
Not in Wisconsin, but down there.
But I remember you buying them, but that was when they had physical tickets. They would go up to Will Call, grab tickets that weren't picked up, and they'd sell them.
You might be able to do it over phone. I would never do that. These guys always had physical tickets that I could take.
Well, they don't have physical tickets anymore. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know how they do it. Maybe they do down. I don't know.
Like, because we're going to the Brewers game on Father's Day.
Correct.
No physical tickets.
No, they're all on your phone.
Right.
I don't know how they do it in Tampa. I don't.
But I don't think you can scalp anymore. Like, there's scalping websites that you can go through.
But there's so many scams on those sites.
There's a couple of good ones. Game Time is a good one. I use that all the time.
These guys were actually physical people standing outside, physically live in there. They'd come up to the window. How much? Center ice, $60. Great. Boom. And I was in. It was great. I loved it. It was a great way to see the games. It was almost feel like a season ticket holder when I didn't have to pay season ticket prices.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just curious, and you let us know what you think in the comments below. Let me know how this works, because scalping does not make sense to me. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. Here's my big question to you. Which NFC North team is Jair Alexander about to go to and light it up?
Any of the 3 he can get on, but he's going to have to take a very small contract.
It doesn't matter. He's getting paid by the Packers. Why wouldn't he?
He is, but he's still going to have to take an incentive-laden bonus situation.
League minimum.
And he's going to have to, yes, but the bonuses are going to come in. You better make sure you play 15 games. I mean, the guy's never played.
The last 2 years, he's played 7 games each season, I think.
I mean, he's an incredible talent. Closest thing I can think of is in the movie North Dallas 40, which I've made you watch since you were 8 years old. They had a running back on that team that didn't want to take the needle because he didn't believe in it. He wanted his body to tell him when it was hurt. Finally, the coach talked him into it. The evil head coach of Dallas. And he did. Goes out and play, can't feel a thing, and he gets torched and his knee is gone and his career is over. Maybe that's Alexander. If I feel a twinge, I'm not going to play. But this is the NFL.
You have to play through it at some point.
Correct.
You really do, especially if you're being paid all-pro money. You need to be an all-pro. It's what is expected of you. There's going to be hurts and dings. You're getting paid millions of dollars to go out
He
there.
was
and
one of
play
the
for
top
those.
5 paid cornerbacks in the league.
Correct.
I don't know.
He's had an attitude problem the last couple of years, but he's great, and he's going to go to an NFC North team and light it up. I think he's going to Minnesota. Can you imagine him on a Brian Flores defense?
He'll light it up.
Yeah.
I could also see him in Detroit.
I could see Detroit as well.
And I could also see him in Chicago.
I could also see Chicago. But it is one of those 3 teams I truly believe he's going to.
I'm sure that's what he told his agent where he wants to go.
Yep.
Work out the deal. And it'll be a double whammy on the Packers. I don't know why he's got a bug up his behind about the Packers. They were treating him fine.
I don't know.
But he just didn't want to play.
Something about him not being a captain in Carolina put a bug in his bonnet, if that's the correct phrase.
When you go and make yourself a captain on your own and don't even talk to your head coach about it, odds are they're going to have a problem with that.
Yeah. Matt LaFleur doesn't necessarily know you're from South Carolina.
Unless you tell him. I don't think if he would have went to LaFleur and said, hey, this is my hometown, I'm sure he would have been made a captain for the game. But instead, he just runs out there and everybody looks at it and goes, oh, that's a lot of discipline on the team.
And then calls the coin toss and almost screws it up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good look.
He's still an all-pro talent. If he can get it together, which he will for 1 year on a league minimum, get another contract, and then who knows. But he's going to be in the NFC North this year, and he is going to destroy the Packers.
I'm still hoping he ends up in Arizona or in
not going to happen.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, you can wish all you want. It's not going to happen. My money's on him going to Minnesota or Detroit. It's one of those two.
I think he could still end up in Chicago. I'm not counting them out.
He definitely could.
It's like 33 and a third for each of them. Who gets the extra 10th? I don't know, but I agree
College
with you.
football is in a new type of space right now. There's officially a settlement where schools can now pay athletes, and I have to say, it's about time.
Well, if the NCAA would have managed this better from the beginning, and I'm talking back in the 80s and 90s, they have completely mismanaged this. They've caused the situation where guys like Arch Manning are making $20 million a year as a guy who's not even on the field. He's not even a starter.
Right.
So some kids brought suits, finally got settled. Each team's going to have like just shy of $21 million to spend across everybody.
20.8.
Okay. That's before the boosters step in.
Correct.
And we still have the Wild Wild West.
I don't think you will. I don't. And here's my reasoning behind it, is what this allows you to do is to get kids to sign contracts.
True.
And that's going to make a big difference now. So there's actual money on the table where contracts can be signed, where you can sign kids to 3-year contracts. No more jumping around every year in the transfer portal. You're committed here.
Well, we've said that forever, that the kids should get to make one move, and if a coach leaves, one more move.
Correct.
But otherwise, you pick a school, and that's where you're playing.
Right. Now you're going to have, if you have recruits, it's like, listen, you're signing here for 3 years. Like, you're going to stay in this system. You're going to learn this system, and they get a chance to start. And if after 3 years you want to go.
Well, and that's really been the problem. I mean, let's take a look at my favorite team, University of Wisconsin. I can't tell you over the last 3 years who's played there and who hasn't. There's been 3 different quarterbacks. There's been 3 different running backs. There's been different wide receivers.
There's been 3 wins.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's been ugly because teams are now going to hire general managers.
They already are.
And I just said that. They're hiring general managers.
Oh, I thought you said they're going to hire general managers.
Teams are hiring general managers. They're getting guys to manage the NIL money. There's still the loophole of the boosters that they've got to get a handle on. I still think the only solution to all this is going to be when football breaks off, does their own thing, and there's open conversations about that now.
But at this point, they're professionals. And you can't tell a professional athlete what type of sponsorships he can get. And that's exactly what this is. It's different in college because there's this weird thing with college sports where there are boosters, which are just alumni that are paying people.
With deep pockets.
With very deep pockets. And it's a weird thing to be that associated with a college that you're like, I don't know, that hurts my brain and I'll never understand it.
I won't either. But I've got a huge problem with this. They are now literally employees.
Yeah.
college is there for education. These guys now have no incentive to ever go in class, which I think is a mistake. And that genie has to be tried to put back in the bottle. These kids choose a college should be going there because they want to make sure they're taken care of, because most of them are not playing in the NFL.
Correct.
They'll get a couple $100,000.
1% of Division I athletes end up in the NFL.
Even if they make $200,000 NIL money.
Right.
That's nothing.
Right.
They'll be gone in a minute and a half after they graduate. The education is still the key here, and college football has to be about education first.
You're going to have
athletics
kids,
second.
You're going to have the same thing you've always had. You're going to have kids that take advantage of the academic side of sports, and you're going to have kids that don't.
They need to bring in former, and I hope they're already doing this, bring in former athletes that have lived the lives that these kids are because they've been pampered since they were 8 years old.
Yeah.
To talk about the realities of life and take advantage of the educational. And maybe I'm being Pollyanna. And if I am, I accept that. But
so it's a multiple syllable word.
Pollyanna? Yeah, it's also a movie from way back when. But I'm hoping that education still becomes a part of this again and not just a straight employer-employee relationship.
It will be for some.
And it's sad. It really is.
Well, what this is going to do, though, the NFL has to be jumping for joy at all of this, because if you look at somebody like Jamarcus Russell never makes it to the NFL if he's getting paid this much money in college.
If he would have made $10 million in college, he does what he did in the NFL.
Correct. And you're going to start to see more of that. You're going to start to see a lot of kids fail out. And it's going to be what it's going to be. But you're right. A lot of these kids are not going to make it to the NFL. They never have, and they need to take advantage of it.
Sure, and I don't mind
them. They're not going to.
I don't mind them giving, if somebody buys their jersey number, they should get a piece of that. That's always been wrong. If they go to a car opening and they grab a sandwich there because an Egg McMuffin's there,
right,
they shouldn't be banned from playing as they have been before. I still think in the end, the NCAA has to go away, and the Power 5 conferences have to hire a commissioner with an NIL director and get an agreement across all lines that say, yes, you sign a contract, you're there, and you can move once after your junior year. That's it, unless the coach leaves. But and try to write some rules around this, because college football I'm losing interest in it. I talked to somebody the other day, my physical therapist, because I'm having to go through some physical therapy right now. He was a season ticket holder in Madison for 38 years. But because of the last 3 years with not knowing the players, he gave up his tickets. That's a bad look.
You're going to see a lot more of it in college sports. But you and I have had a great show. And as you all know, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. So it is all you.
So it is Father's Day this weekend. Kyle and I go out and play golf almost every year. Take the time to really enjoy any time you have with your dad, because too soon they're not going to be there. My dad died in 1993. I miss him to this day, but I think of him often. Enjoy Father's Day. It's a special relationship that you only can have with one guy. Enjoy it and have fun.
Thank you, as always, so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.